right now?
Both on. How about Chris Kleiner?
Not at the moment.
Okay. All right, let's start. Okay.
I'll let you know, give you the high sign.
Yep, so we got Steve and Rob online. They're both in the meeting now.
All right, you should be good to go, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the April 8th, 2026 meeting of the Newington Planning and Zoning Commission to order. Please rise and pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Maureen, the roll call, please.
Sure. Commissioner King,
Here.
Commissioner Fox,
Here.
Commissioner Harpy,
Here.
Commissioner Minor, Commissioner Pastorelli. Here. Chairman Sobieski.
Here.
Commissioner Woods,
Here.
Commissioner Hoffman, Commissioner Rice Davis.
Here.
And Commissioner Gill.
Here.
You're all set.
Tom, can you close that door, please? Thank you. Okay, I'm going to appoint Commissioner Rice Davis for Commissioner Minor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Approval of agenda, Paul?
No changes?
No changes, okay. We're gonna go to public participation, round one, 3 minutes, for items not on the agenda.
No one online has their hand raised, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody? to
Oh,
room?
no, we got a hand raise.
I'm sorry?
We do have one now.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Hey folks, sorry I couldn't, or Jacob Knowlton, 10 Hillside Street. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person with y'all. My allergies are kicking my butt right now. I just wanted to give a heads up. Tomorrow we're holding a planning and development forum where hopefully we get some of your staff there. We're going to go over some of our findings from early work on the housing bill. And then I also just wanted to give a heads up that I am working on looking into that Noble gas station situation from Commissioner Rice Davis's request. Just going to take a little bit of time. I just finished up New Britain's review of their zoning regs, so I'm just diving into that. And the last thing I'll mention is SN on our staff is really diving into the calculations for what's going to come out of the housing growth plan for a number of units, and breaking that down into a user-friendly presentation. So that should be coming out for public view pretty soon. I think we'll hold an event or of some sort or something like that. So I just wanted to keep you guys updated in the works of CROG. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. Anybody else?
No one else online has their hand raised.
Before we go any farther, I'd like to ask the commission, when you have a question, please state your name, Commissioner so-and-so, please. We did have a complaint or a comment from the last meeting that it was a free-for-all, so to speak, even though it was just an open discussion. Okay? Next is zoning officer's report. Does anyone have time to read it? Is there any questions?
The snow has melted, so business is picking up.
Excellent. Are you sure it's melting now? All right, next is remarks by commissioners and remarks by any of the commissioners. Commissioner Woods, Commissioner Kane. Any remarks?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you. Public hearings.
There is no public
None.
hearing.
You right, Paul?
No.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes from 25 March. Is there a motion?
moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain since I wasn't here.
Commissioner Kane abstaining.
Commissioner Pascarelli. All right. All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, under new business, Paul?
Yep, so what you have tonight is a pre-application review. So most of you are familiar with the pre-application process. You have it in your packets as well, especially for the new commissioners or the ones who have rejoined us. That this is a non-binding, fact-seeking, information-seeking application, but not an application to the commission. So what you say as far as this, it's not to be held against you as far as any future review, but it's to get your honest opinion and feedback for them to proceed and what you would like to see either in an application, what you would like to see considered that if they do come in with this application, that you would expect them to have that level of information, and here are the questions you would have. So they're better prepared to come in front of you. So this is for a proposed zone change from an R20 to I industrial at 180 Carr Avenue. So the pre-applicant is here with you tonight. I think Eric does have some maps he can bring up as well, and we can also bring up the GIS to kind of show you the general location of this. You have it in your packets, the staff kind of overview of this request of this area. So tonight, again, the pre-applicants are in front of you. If you would like to hear from them, they kind of give you what they're thinking about this property. And again, they're here to seek your input that if they do proceed to that zone change and eventually even site plan, that what you're going to be asking for.
Okay, so Gia's got to read this into the minutes, right? Are we all set?
You can if you like. Yep, you can
Okay, yeah,
say it, or
we-
did you call it? Yeah, we discussed it. I read it, but you can read it if you like.
Yeah, sorry. So petition TPZ 26-3, pre-application review meeting. Proposed request to change zone from R20 to I industrial at 180 Carr Avenue. Applicant Tungus Road LLC. Contact Kevin Sisti, owner Tungus Road LLC.
And just for clarification, everyone, I brought up the GIS map, town GIS map, it just has the parcel in question highlighted. And then I have their mapping as well available.
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Attorney Matt Koliwa, spelled Cholewa, with Talcott Law Group, 11 Talcott Notch Road in Farmington, represent the applicant Tungus Road LLC.
Yeah, Tungus, Kevin Sisti, Tungus Road LLC, 79 Wood Pond, West Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay, thank you. You're all set, Paul?
Yep, so they're gonna go
Okay.
over their spiel of what they're gonna be asking for.
Okay, and as Paul referenced, I kind of view this as a conversation where I'm using my ears more than my mouth, hopefully, to hear what you guys, think about this. The property in question, 180 Carr Avenue, is historically, it was part of a large residential subdivision, including everything to the, all that stuff to the east of it. And it's just a big leftover piece that was not developed for, if you've been to the site, I think for obvious reasons. If it was suitable for residential, you would have long had some residences there. There's Kevin could speak to this better than I can. When I visited the site, I think it was 10 below and there were 2 feet of snow on the ground, so I didn't stay very long, but it's the grade. The GIS map doesn't do it justice. The grade from the property up to the homes in Tremont is about 100-foot climb, I think. So when you're up on Tremont, you don't even see the site below. And there's a big wide Eversource transmission line easement going through the property, so it really limits what can be done and frankly what would be appropriate for residential with power lines right there. So we feel that the most appropriate use for this site would be industrial, which would be kind of a continuation of the properties along Carr Avenue on the west side of the road leading in, and also consistent with what's across the border in New Britain. And Kevin can speak a little bit more to this, but the limitations on the site really kind of limit what could be done because of the Eversource easement goes kind of right through the middle of it. So you wouldn't be able to get too much on there. There wouldn't be that much of an intense use. And so, resulting in kind of a minimization of, light and sound and traffic for surrounding properties. But Kevin can talk a little bit about the
Yeah,
concept.
we have a concept map. We feel the best use for the property would be small flex spaces. With, it's a naturally imposed some limitations to the site. And we feel like we can put some small flex space in there for smaller businesses and some smaller vans and, thinking 3 to 5 employees per spot. And the topography is pretty challenging. And so we don't think residential is the best use for the property.
So we'd certainly love to hear what you guys have to think about that. I mean,
Any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Fox, Commissioner Harpy?
You go. Have you spoken to anybody in the neighborhood at this point on Fremont?
We have not, no.
no, we have not yet.
And should anyone from Tremont been noticed of this meeting at this stage?
At this stage,
So, no, it wouldn't be. So this is a very early to kind of get your input. Again, that would be, I kind of noted that in the staff report that everyone would be notified absolutely once something is put into an actual application. But at this point, it's to hear from the commission first to say what type of information and level of information would you like to see in front of you for that application?
because it would be a public hearing
Yeah, so it'd be signs,
for a zone change.
letters, public hearing.
Are you aware of that?
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
we came as more as a
Yeah, so
collaborative,
if
get
you
your
look at
opinion.
this map that's up on the screen, that black dash buffer, those are all the properties they have to notify for the public hearing.
I just
A lot.
wanted, in fairness, I didn't know if you were aware of that aspect of it.
Oh, no, absolutely. What is it?
Yeah.
500?
And have,
Yes, it's within 500 feet, all residential properties within 500 feet, all properties within 500 feet of their boundaries.
and have you had an opportunity to touch base with Eversource at this point?
Not yet, no. I mean, when it comes to notifying neighbors, I mean, my take on something like this is it's best to, when it's time for a public hearing, quite honestly, to give them a forum to talk to us ahead of the public hearing rather than to see people and so forth ahead of time, to,
Right,
be able to take into account some of their thoughts going in. We'd have to have, I think, I agree.
okay, and would you just repeat what you have in mind specifically for this site?
Yeah, we feel that the best use for the site is small, flex space, smaller individual bays with, 2 to 3 employees, with some small service vans, light traffic, minimal, some guys moving out of their home to come into a smaller bay.
And how many units would be looking to construct?
The units we're not there yet, but we have some, we have about 26,000 square feet over 3 buildings in the concept now. And we're open to input on that as well.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner I'm sorry, Commissioner Pasquale?
Do you own the property right now?
Yes,
How long have you owned the property?
a little over a year.
So who owned the property prior?
I don't remember the last name of the seller.
So this is a property that's just been residential, undeveloped the entire time. Nope, there's never been any discussion from a prior owner as to what can be, to do with it.
So as far as
That we
we know, no, I think, we've been approached on this lot. People have asked about it. As far as we can tell, it's kind of put in the staff report. And I can add kind of some staff context is it is that like remainder land that was left over. So the 2 subdivisions that are kind of noted in there, they address the actual Tremont Street area and all those lots. And this area is just kind of shown in the rear of it, but it isn't identified as a lot. It isn't given a number. It is kind of shown as that excess land. And then in your report, you'll actually see the first assessor's map that it just kind of shows up at the same time the Tremont Street item, all those lots show up. But before, this land and the entirety of those Tremont subdivision was one parcel, at least on the assessor's map. So again, they divided it, but this area again with the, former Halco right of way, now Connecticut Light and Power right of way over there, that is, it's that kind of remainder land as
Yeah.
far as we view it as in zoning.
So if we approve the change of the zoning, and then you, let's say you went ahead with this, but then you sold it, it would stay industrial for the next person.
Yes.
So this is the best course of action? I mean, and I'm just asking this out loud. I don't have like a kind of a one side or the other thought, because maybe it's better, could it potentially be better to give them like just allow them to do this and not change the zoning and make it a,
You
No.
have to change the zone for,
You have
depends,
to
their
change the
their
zone.
use is
Yeah.
industrial use,
Yeah.
so, and it's zoned
so
residential
then,
current.
but what the next person who comes in, right? Like we have to like think about what the next
Right.
industrial owner
Correct.
could put there and suitability and things like
So
that.
I did just check the record. It was owned by, prior to him purchasing, it was owned by the same family since 1981.
So just sort of thinking about the process and thinking about the
Sure.
history.
Our intent is to develop the property and own it long term.
Okay,
I mean, if you look at the property lines, they really kind of follow the ridge, which is, they built in the flat part. and then
They
it's like-
built as much as they could before they started going down the slope.
yep.
Yeah.
Right. And the topography of the homes on Tremont, it's so high up there. We'd like to fence that, keep the trees there and limit, any exposure to what we're doing underneath the homes there. You have railroad tracks, you have John Johnny Drive there. So we feel it fits. We want to be good neighbors and,
Right.
contain some of the industrials.
Right, and if you're having these basically people coming in to do their light work, they probably wouldn't be there all night making noise. There's
Yeah, no,
probably
and
kind of a,
we want to stay similar to what is if you're coming down Carr Avenue on the right side of Carr Ave, there's some light industrial use there, and that's what we intend to kind of mirror going into the property.
okay.
Maybe the commercial plumber who's looking for a space to work out of, that kind of thing. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
concept.
graduating from their home into a small
And
space.
and the thought is, being zone residential, it doesn't seem to make sense that you walk out your front door and look up at transmission lines. It's just, that's why it's been, when was that neighborhood built out, Eric? In the
In the late,
50s or even earlier?
late 60s.
Late 60s? I'm thinking maybe some of them.
They did it in sections, 15 houses at a
Yep.
time.
So it's been sitting like that for at least 60 years.
Yep. And for the
Undeveloped for a reason.
for the commission's information, I've kind of put up on the map, you can see on the screens and those looking along. This is the near map view of it. You can see kind of the vegetation between the existing residences here. Again, we saw that the map, and I can bring that up too with the topography. But then I think when you really look at it, and then after I kind of highlight this, I believe Commissioner Kane also has his hand raised.
Yes.
But,
Hold on, no more questions from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before
So
I
I'll
get to
kind of-
Commissioner Kane, Commissioner Fox, you had a question?
Yes, Commissioner Fox through the chairman. Just to clear, just for me, do you have any idea of the kind of units that you'll be looking at, automobile services, manufacturing?
Yeah, we want to stay away from automotive. It's more of
I just
a,
brought that up. I figured you would.
yeah, more of the service van,
Mhm.
HVAC guy, coming with 2 or 3 employees and just storing his,
Yeah.
light equipment and inside the
Yeah.
building and a van or 2.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And now, you'll be backing up on these Tremont Street addresses. And as you mentioned, the topography is kind of crazy, so
Yeah.
I'm
It's difficult.
sure you're aware of what you're gonna have to do for noise abatement and fencing and stuff. And
And we're happy to do it.
And lighting, yeah.
that's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Gill?
Yes, Tom Gill to the chairman. As far as the Eversource, are there structures on the property? Eversource structures?
Just the high tension line. There's no structures, just
So
the,
yes, there are poles.
their poles. is
Multiple. You can kind of see it up on the screen there. It might be a little difficult to see because of the darkness, but you have a series, you have actually kind of the 2 series of high tension, and then you have another line running next to it. So you actually have, basically 7
All right,
poles.
so they
combined.
they haven't notified or checked with Eversource as to what they could put underneath?
That, they would have to go through a plan review process with Eversource as well.
They're tougher than you guys.
Okay, yeah, so it's,
We're starting here.
All set, Commissioner
yes.
Gill? Commissioner Kane?
No sense talking to them until they, you know.
Commissioner Kane?
Go ahead, Mr. Kane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Eric. One thing I'd bring up is last meeting, I wasn't in attendance, but I reviewed the minutes, and there's some talk about Public Act 25-1, and the title of that is an act concerning housing growth. So I guess my hesitation would be rezoning residential zones to industrial seems to be in direct conflict with the strong signal that the legislature has sent that we should be maximizing residential property rather than reducing it. And I'd also, I'm having a little trouble seeing on the POCD, but what does the POCD say about this lot?
So I don't think it went into,
It didn't go into any
Into
kind of
detail
detail. I
of
don't
this.
believe it was flagged for anything special, but we, you know, we can confirm.
yeah, because
that.
this is again, one of those. I don't think this lot has been really, and this is Paul Dixon, town planner, for a record. I don't think this lot has really even been looked at much by this town. Because it's primarily, again, initially when looking at it before, the pre-applicant coming in and talking to us, you know, I see it as, it was primarily a Eversource right of way that takes up the bulk of the property. And I know there'll be a lot of back and forth about what can go under there, what can't go under there, but it is pretty heavily, you know, that is a use that kind of existed there, an easement across it. And that takes up a good portion of the actual property itself. You know, what you can do underneath it and not typically, I don't want to speak for them, but in speaking with our town engineer, he knows that typically you don't put structures under them. They may allow parking under it, but they do not let you put something permanent that would prevent them from accessing these high tension wires, from performing, you know, work under it. You know, them, but I don't want to, again, speak for them too. If they had a paved service, maybe that's not a problem for them underneath because they have to do work underneath. But if they had anything that would prevent them or make it more difficult or more expensive for them to do work under there, they would have definitely something to say about that. But again, does have a pretty big, large burden on this property of that easement over it. But again, it's excess land. It was never really, every other lot was cut out of it and this was just kind of left over. No one really had a plan for it, it seemed.
Any other questions from commissioners? Commissioner Davis?
Yes, Commissioner Davis, through the chairman, kind of going off of what all said, did you have like looked, I'm sure when you bought the land, you looked back and made sure there weren't any other easements or restrict covenants or anything like that that would restrict you from like the use of the land, correct?
Not aware of anything other than the big
Yeah.
honk and Eversource easement go right through the middle of it. Yeah, so.
Yeah, and that's why we feel the residential zone does not fit in the parcel.
I guess I don't know if the town staff would want to comment on the thought of this as being residential. I mean, it's been zoned that for years, but to me, it doesn't seem appropriate. I don't see who would want to buy a single family home right there. And it's not zoned for multifamily and I don't know where you'd fit that anyhow.
And also coming down again, down Carter Avenue on the right side. I mean, it's all industrial. The left side is residential. So it does kind of, you know, move into the.
Commissioner Davis, you all set?
I am, thank you.
Mr. Woods has his hand raised.
Commissioner Woods?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. A question, or actually a couple of questions. That heavily wooded area, the buffer between Tremont Street and your proposed new buildings, how much of that will stay? All of it? Or will you have to take some of it out?
I mean, as much as we can leave there.
I
we
think
will.
most all of it on the steep slope.
Yeah,
So I think all of it.
Most would, yeah.
Unfortunately, our engineer had a family emergency, couldn't be here, could have spoken a little bit better to that, but my understanding is view on the site is that most of that, if you look at, is that topographical map?
Yeah, this
Yep.
is top of the
Yeah,
topo.
look at those lines are awfully close together.
They
Yeah,
are
you
very
can-
close together.
You got at least 20 feet to the back of the building from
Yeah,
the
let's
top
see.
of the
Yeah.
ridge. So,
Okay, and does Carr Avenue now dead end into this piece of property?
So, I can add that from the town point of view, looking at, it's in the report that Carr Ave actually doesn't even get to this property right now. There's actually a unimproved right of way. So, and that's the other issue too, is this lot doesn't conform as a lot in the town of Newington, as it doesn't actually have the frontage it needs. The Carr Avenue is very short coming into it. Again, I think it's the matter of 50 to 70. 70 is actually, I believe, your minimum frontage
for an
for
industrial.
an industrial zone property. It doesn't meet the industrial, it doesn't meet the residential, because right now it's only that 50-foot right of way that goes into it. But again, it's an unimproved section and unaccepted, of course, unimproved, unaccepted. It's only been accepted up to the current cul-de-sac that is there now. So then there's two properties flanking that unimproved that lead down to this property as well.
If you look at the map I just brought up, you can see the end of the cul-de-sac here to the north.
Yep.
This is the unimproved road. This is where his property is currently.
And
then you have-
175 is owned by Connecticut Light and Power. I
This is owned by
believe.
CL&P. This is owned by an individual, which could be either one of these could be developable lots in the future if the road were to be extended.
Yeah, for the
So the-
record, I think the individual owns the Tremont Street lot that abuts it.
Yeah, they own the house up on the hill behind it, I believe, yes.
So the applicant would be responsible to extend Carr Avenue into their property. Correct?
Yes, as an application to make it a conforming lot, to make it a building lot. Yeah, it would have to extend and then you would get into the site development aspect of it too, to increase the frontage. You'd end up probably with another cul-de-sac or another something there at the end that would have to be built as part of a site development plan. But yeah,
Yeah,
you'd,
Gonna be one of my questions too, because what they put in front of us, the fire apparatus probably would not make any of those radiuses that are there as they exist right now drawn. But I realize we're very preliminary in what they're putting in front of us. But I find it interesting that it's been zoned residential probably for 60, 70, 80 years, ever since they built Tremont Street, but it was never subdivided into individual lots. You know, so
Yeah, and
I'm not, it kind of would lead me to believe there was never, ever any intent to build homes there. And I get it because of the high tension wires and the topography. It just probably doesn't work.
yeah, and then, Mr. Chairman, if I may, and to kind of respond to add to that, likely, again, if you look at kind of that history, we'd have to look at when that property was rezoned, and I think that information would be important. And then again, a full rezoning application in front of you. But chances are, as I said, this was all one parcel before. So to split it, you would actually have to rezone the entirety of the parcel into the existing residential zone that it is now, and then zone it from there. So that's why it kind of ends up left over after a larger residential subdivision. So multiple lots were cut out of it. This is just a leftover land. So it kind of makes sense why it's the R20. But, you know, again, we have other cases in town which they would have potentially just extended the lot lines. We've seen that multiple in our other subdivisions when you have an area of wetlands and everything that's behind it. I know many people have houses in Newington that they own the wetlands behind them because that's just the way the map was cut off and it wasn't left as a non-developable parcel. Just in this case, again, we can't say exactly why. Maybe because of the high tension wires and that they kind of just said, okay, leave this alone. But we don't know the entire history of in the 50s when this was done.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's it for me.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions here. Number one, I think before you do anything, you should find out what Eversource is gonna allow you to do on their property. That's number one. Number two, it appears from, and like, this is not a very good map for the elevations, but it looks like you're gonna have to do some digging out or blasting in this area. I don't know what's underneath it. So I'd like to know that. And then you realize this is gonna also have to go through New Britain planning and zoning because you're splitting, the town line goes through the middle here.
The New Britain parcel zoned industrial.
I understand it, but whatever they do here, you're still gonna have, whatever you do, they still have to approve it, even though it's industrial.
If we build on, if you build on the New Britain side, that's what you're saying, right?
Well, isn't the roadway on the New Britain side?
No,
I mean, not the roadway.
Part of the
parking
driveway
lot?
plan is,
Part of the driveway.
just it goes around.
Right.
okay.
Yeah, I think he's just pointing out that the proposed driveway here is in New Britain, so
Right.
if this were to get rezoned
Okay.
and you got a site plan, you would have to go through the dual process.
Sure,
obviously.
any improvements in New Britain.
So
Yeah.
those are my concerns, and I'd like to know what Eversource is gonna allow you to do. So,
You said you'd like that before the zone change?
I'm sorry?
You said you'd like to hear that before a zone change?
I think so, don't you, Paul?
Yeah, and I think, again, we would have to look and review it too, but you might have, because you have to list all easements that are on the property, and, is there potentially a conflict? Again, what rights does Eversource have over approval of anything that happens over there? That you might have to look into and at least express as part of an application. Do they have anything that makes them, quasi co-applicant or not?
Happy to have that conversation. I mean, knowing Eversource, what they're probably gonna come back with is and say, we're not gonna tell you what we can do until you ask us specifically, but I think we can have a
As long as it's a
conceptual
general-
conversation
general
with them to say what
Right.
kind of things might, so it's, they won't commit themselves until.
Now, the other thing, Eric, can you put the overhead with high tension, I think there's
I
three
can
sets
try.
going through there, is there not?
Yeah, let me bring up.
Commissioner Woods has his hand raised too.
Oh, I'm sorry,
No,
Commissioner
no.
Woods?
All right, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I forgot to ask a couple questions. Do we know if there is MDC water, sewer, and natural gas available to the site? Have you gone that far yet, or?
There's water and, we haven't explored the sewer.
Let
You
me
don't
take
know
a
about
quick.
the sewer or not?
No, we don't, not this time.
And natural gas?
I don't believe there's natural.
I suspect, this is just me, that any utilities are currently end at the pavement on Carr Avenue, because the way they developed that in the past is as more houses got approved, they just kept extending the road in 200 or 300 foot chunks.
Okay, thank you, Eric. And then my last question, Mr. Chairman, I forgot to ask this too, on the buildings. Do you know construction of the building? Is it a block and metal building? All block, all metal? Have you gone that far yet?
We're between metal and block at this time.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I just want to see how many sets of high tension lines go through there.
So this would probably be the best picture for you, if you can, it's a
Looks
little
to-
dark, but yeah,
Looks to
you
me
got
like there's at least two.
two
maybe
sets
three.
and then a smaller,
Right,
probably more of like local service type of set.
Right.
Running next to it, that probably breaks off into some
so
of the
that
other
looks like
areas.
it's over the access down from Carr Road. Can we go a little more to the right?
And you get those, they're offset, you got that one line here, and then you
Yeah.
get these two offset. This is more or less the property line, again,
Right.
this is off near map, so that's, plus or minus 20 feet. And an oblique, but yeah, that's kind of the property there.
Yeah.
And then it kind of comes to this corner, and then the rest of it, again, is the New Britain area
Right.
of the property, and you can kind of see, then you hit the train tracks, so that's kind of, it's a interesting leftover parcel that kind of just has been there to the side, but I think, as far as the utilities go, I think Eric is right, yeah, it would be extended to the end of it because,
Actually, looking at the old utility map, it looks like they did extend the utilities at one time to the end to where the
Okay.
property is, and that makes sense because that's the way the original subdivision was. So
Right.
it does appear that at least water and sewer are there, and they end at their property, so they would still have to run it in from that property line.
So if this was to be extended and they would have gray water, they would have to put a pump to pump it up to the other elevation, am I correct?
Whatever MDC, yeah.
Right, whatever the MDC wants, right? Okay, that's all.
I don't know if they're gonna need pumps and grinders out there.
So, any other questions for the commissioner?
Commissioner Kane has the same raise.
Okay,
Joe
let me
Harvey,
get
Mr.
Commissioner Harvey first. I'll get.
Joe Harpy. I guess this is a matter of luck because, the west side of Carr Avenue is industrial. You just happen to be on the east side, is that correct?
Yeah.
Looking
We're
down,
kind of
looking
east
down
and
the
west, we're kind of,
looking down the Britton Avenue, if you were heading east, if you were heading west and took a left into Carr.
Yep.
Okay, you're on the other side of that, right? The east side towards New Britain.
Well,
Just trying to get a
no,
sense.
car kind of comes right into the middle of the lot.
Car-
So
car
on the
itself.
way in, the
But
west
what
side,
I'm telling you though,
Oh.
according to the report, the car avenue is on the east side being residential and the west side being industrial.
yeah, on the way into the property. The east side of Carr is residential, the Tremont side, if you would.
Yeah.
And then the
My only
west side,
point
the
being
Britain
is that
side is.
you happen to have a piece of land you're interested in doing something on that is going to require a zone change where the other side would.
I'm not sure if I follow, sir.
Okay. The Carr Avenue being on the west side of Carr Avenue, it's zoned as industrial.
Yep, yep.
Okay. So that would lead me to believe that you're somewhere on the east side, which is all residential and requires a zone change.
We're on the south side of Carr Avenue.
If you look at the map,
So we're
I kind of put it up there for everyone, so.
Yeah.
We have Carr Avenue, again, Carr Avenue is an interesting road for here, just because of the railroad. When we had, Mr. Campbell, who came in with his smaller type of, HVAC, facility that he put together, his garage, he was able to develop, again, on the one industrial side, you have the road, and then you have the residences directly across them. It's an interesting interface that we have. And I think this area of town is the one that has that. And it has, I would say, we haven't received complaints on Carr Avenue. We've received complaints with Stam. We received complaints kind of around that area. Stam Road is the interesting one where you do actually have the elevation above it. And see, that would be my concern from a staff point of view. It depends on what. So when you have these smaller type of units that are contained, that might be one thing. My concern is always contractors' yards. Because when you have those, you do end up that is something that is permitted in an industrial zone. It's something that kind of be thought about when you do change this zoning, that kind of in the staff report, again, it's the totality of uses that are in the zone. Kind of as Commissioner Pascarelli was kind of noting too, that yes, if you sell it, it stays with it when it goes forward as well. So again, it's that larger discussion. Again, I will say just the staff type of thing, since it was kind of asked, would you see residential being good under high tension lines? No, I would see that as a big environmental justice issue of trying to put residential units underneath a high tension line. Typically is not what you like to do in a hollow next to a railroad with high tension line. That sounds like not the greatest place, and something that we have an issue with some of the larger housing bills, trying to say maybe industrial, maybe commercial, maybe that interface that we're having some growing pains with right now. So that would be, so yes, for residential, I do not see this property being productively used for residential use. But it is one of those interesting things, it wasn't really fully contemplated its use when it was subdivided. It was just kind of left over and not really acknowledged. I think that's kind of the issue of you have this end up leftover piece that isn't a lot of record because it doesn't have the frontage. It's a parcel that was left over as cut out, but it doesn't meet the zoning standards as a lot.
Well, I would just sum up, if I might, Mr. Chairman, and this isn't a reflection on your skill set, your attorney or yourself. I know you're rich with experience on that. I think this project is something that would be very difficult for me to support because you'd be going to a lot of cost. And it just seems to me with the utility company and the grading, not really the access for a town type road, and the legislation that's coming upon all the 169 towns from the legislature on zoning changes. In that case, you might have a hell of a chance because they have a shotgun approach to zoning, the state. But I just am troubled by, I don't know what you do with it if you decided the project wasn't going to go forward, that the capital investment you have to make exceeds the return over the next 3 or 4 years, whatever you're looking for. I mean, did you put in all that stone? It's like a stone path. Is that something you put in or?
No, that was.
Eversource has dropped that for their maintenance.
The
I guess.
railway was expanded there and that was a staging area for the expansion of the railway. So the site was used as an industrial site in the past for the railway.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, Commissioner Harpy, I guess I'll defer to my client on the economics, and obviously he wouldn't be, coming back if we get a zone change.
I give him credit.
Well, no, we wouldn't come back with a site plan unless the economics made sense, but I guess where I sit, is a piece of property where the applicant ought to be able to do something with it. When it comes to residential use, I confer with the environmental justice thing. I don't see coming in here with an 830 application and asking people to live under high tension lines. That would not be a good application. And so it seems that the best use to make of this is, given the constraints of the site, the topography, the high tension lines is really a light industrial use. Storage, who knows, self-storage possibly, or, like you said, where light industrial plumbers can have, individual bays. So I guess my question to you would, assuming that the applicant should use it for something, if not this, then what? It seems to be
Well, I think that's the
the
problem.
the least,
I think that's the problem though that you have as well,
yeah.
but I'm not questioning
No, I'm just,
your background or yours certainly.
no, we appreciate the feedback. So that's why we're here.
yeah.
I'll say Commissioner Harpy.
Yes, I am.
Commissioner Fox, I'll get to Commissioner Kane. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this commission, and Michael Fox, through the chairman. I think maybe this one thing you might want to be aware of. I think, the topography, the ease or difficulty in site work and all that stuff, that's up to you. You think it's too expensive, you're not gonna do it. But if I remember correctly, Tom, Commissioner Gilbert, many years ago, Maureen Klett had brought up an issue with the high tension lines up over Reservoir Road. I don't know what the vote, was, about the electromotive forces and, people working or moving or being exposed to the, I don't know what you would call it, electromotive forces or whatever, it's cancerous or something like that. I don't know if that's been, up or not, but you can always talk to Eversource about it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kane, I'm sorry, did you want?
No, I was just thinking.
Commissioner Kane?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What was the plan for the property when it was purchased 2 years ago? If your position is that it's not appropriate for residential?
To seek a zone change,
I'm sorry?
to seek a zone change
To seek a zone change.
and develop it as a flex-based property.
I did have discussions with the applicant when he first went to purchase the property. And he mentioned that might be coming forward at some point in the future.
Okay. That wasn't the reason I raised my hand. Paul, could you go back to that screen you had with the transmission lines?
Sure. And while I'm bringing it up, I just want to bring up one item for clarification. When I say lot of record versus lot and everything like that, we have not done the full research on the lot. Again, it is a parcel of land in Newington. So again, it just doesn't have the current frontage, and we did not do the research to go back to exactly what was done. I just want to be clear, that would be something that the applicant would come forward with likely, and that might be good information. Again, that history of the lot, how it came to be. Again, it's a little more research, but it does take some staff time and their time to go through all the land records and pull that. So let me bring this up.
And as part of that parcel was originally owned by Red Rock Development, who did all the Tremont Street stuff. And then I believe they sold it to that family in 81, and they've held it since that time until he purchased it.
All right, is this what you're looking for?
I think you had one where it had the property boundaries on it too?
Yeah, so what I'd have to do is then do this and like this, and let's see if it's happy. And I have to go to oblique. And let's see what it will do oblique, looking straight down. You won't have the same view, but you can kind of see it. This, at least you can see it straight up and down. So that's
Perfect.
another like more, yep.
So where would the buildings be? Can you roughly point it out with the cursor?
Yep, so you can see kind of in this area and then,
So they'd just be to the east of the transmission lines and like at the bottom of the
yes.
slope?
Yes,
Okay.
because you can see the edge of the transmission lines right there. And then if I move over to,
Okay, I mean, that seems awfully tight. I don't know if any of you have ever walked underneath transmission lines, but like, I know you're not gonna build a house, but I wouldn't want to spend multiple hours a day working right next to one or under one. You can like feel the electricity when you're under them. So I'm not, I think I agree with Paul that residential doesn't make any sense. So, and I agree with the applicant that it does seem like he should be allowed to do something. And if residential is not allowed, or if residential is just completely impractical, then I think a zone change is justified. But it seems a little tight. It just seems like maybe this is just a surplus piece of property in Newington, and like I don't know that you could fit in anything with those transmission lines and the slope. But that's not really for me to decide as far as like rezoning. So just giving an indication that I initially made the comments about Public Act 25-1, but I do tend to agree with Paul that it just no one's going to build houses in this spot. It doesn't seem like so. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments? All right.
Commissioner Woods has his hand raised.
Commissioner Woods?
Yeah, just a comment, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Actually, it's following up on Commissioner Kane's. As most of you know, we have a local developer who can find these desirable lots to build residential structures. So and I'm sure he knows about this, if he passed this up, that means this is not a desirable lot that he could market and be able to sell anything. And he's pretty good at finding this, and this would be right up his alley because it's actually already zoned residential. So, I would agree with most of the commissioners here. I don't think anybody wants to live underneath or in close proximity to those high tension wires. Even though they're way above your head, there is a lot of electricity streaming through there. Just really just an overall comment that, yeah, I think if this was possible to build homes on, there'd be homes there already. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Woods. Paul?
so I would actually ask pretty much, if you wouldn't mind me asking the applicant if there's anything that you have questions, next steps, any more clarifying points so you can kind of pull everything together. If there's follow-up you think with the engineer, any questions, it's kind of one of those, while you have the audience of everyone in front of you, it's the great opportunity.
I mean, I don't think this affects the decision, if there's an application for a zone change, but the access to the property, which would be a separate question from the zone change. And I really asking, this is might be a more town staff question. I mean, it seems like there's two ways you could possibly go on this, and that is you have to improve Carr Avenue to town road standards and build a cul-de-sac in to have your 70 feet of frontage, unless I don't think this thing's grandfathered in any way, but or you'd have to go variance route with the rear lot, which is, I don't know the makeup of ZBA in Newington, if that's just a pipe drain or if it's not. That's, I mean, it seems to be A
So
or
a
B,
rear
right?
lot provision is actually under this commission,
Oh, it is, okay.
by special
TPC,
permit,
yes.
which would require a public hearing.
those applications be done at the same time? Can
I
they be done?
suspect they would want to do the zone change first. I don't know if they'd want to hear them together. That's.
And yeah, that's an interesting concept to look at too, because
Yeah.
normally it talks about a fee simple owned access way, but it's the road. So it's like, it's like a rear lot, but not a rear lot at the same time because of the other two existing lots. It is right of way.
It has a right of way, it just doesn't, yeah. It's just not improved to town standards right now.
Yeah.
That's a separate.
Yep, and it's not unique in municipalities. We've,
Yeah.
stuff like that does happen when you have these, again, either from old subdivisions left over or pre-subdivisions, or especially the ones from the twenties. That were pre-subdivision regulations and where they just plotted everything out and just threw right of ways through everything, paper streets. You end up with a lot of interesting things.
And I understand we're getting kind of ahead of ourselves. You said everyone's here and it just, it strikes me that it's, if there's gonna be 4 flex space buildings, building a town road to get to just those 4 flex space buildings is perhaps worthy of a conversation whether, but again, that seems to,
Right.
That's down the road.
Okay, we're all set?
Yep,
Thank you.
again,
I thank
They
the
don't have
commission
any
for your
other
time.
questions?
Thank you.
I didn't make them make a ton
You're
of that. I
welcome.
said down the road.
it all works that way,
So, we good?
All right, if you think you guys have enough, then yep.
Yeah, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Please contact us either Paul or,
Thank you
or
very
the
much.
town engineer, Chris. Okay? Thank you. Have a great night. Okay. Old business. Plan review of Public Act 25-1, Act concerning housing growth documents.
So, again, for those listening along, Paul Dixon, Town Planner. In your packets, you have a quick memorandum from me. Staff is working diligently, along with everything else that pops up, but this is a primary area of focus. So we've kind of come up with this schedule. And just to see if this works with the commission, but this gives you an idea of what we're looking at ahead of us for a time frame. So within the next 9 days, staff hopes to finish their final draft of the regulations to get it out to the packet and to legal review. So that would be our hope that on April 17th, that we would have a framework done that we can send you and send to the town attorney as well. I will add that on April 16th, we will be meeting individually with staff and SN from CROG along with Jacob to kind of go over those as well to get that extra input, because again, CROG has volunteered to assist towns. And as Jacob noticed, he's working on New Britons. He worked with us on the initial review, and we're really doing a deep dive right now. Because a lot of the questions from the commission last time were about where was this done before. We found some interesting examples from Vermont. We found some interesting examples from Oregon. I've found some ones that maybe not so great, and kind of one of those, we'll bring that picture to you guys next time, of literally kind of a housing area in between a lumber yard and a self-storage. And it's kind of jammed in there when I'm like, maybe this is not what we're thinking. So that's what we're gonna be trying to bring to you is, the units, it's 2 to 9. That's just what we're not talking about larger. We're not talking about smaller. We're 2 to 9, or we're mixed use with 2 to 9 above them. So this is not a huge development that we're talking about. This is more of a niche developer. This is not the same people who built the 100 and somethings and the 200 and somethings. But how they work with other units is going to be my big concern. What are those setback requirements from a certain type of use? And that's what we're going to have to get the attorney's opinion on as well. Is that copacetic with this act? Again, it does talk about your normal bulk kind of standards that those are in place there. So as long as it's not something so far out of left field with anyone saying, say you need to be 1,000 foot away from something. All right, that might not be based, they need to be based in health and safety. So that's what we're looking to bring to you, stuff that's based in health and safety, based upon the actual impacts of those uses next to them. And, we have certain requirements on being able to have a certain amount of that recreation space associated with it. Even the large ones have had to do it as well. You have to have something outside that you're not just developing 100% concrete, pavement around it and just leaving it in the middle of a very dense area. Again, these are residential structures. You can have that. They have that in cities, but again, cities tend to have larger other public infrastructure nearby that you can enjoy compared to the Berlin Turnpike, which we do not have larger public infrastructure on the Berlin Turnpike in a lot of areas. We have good public infrastructure in our residential neighborhoods where we have our local parks. That doesn't exist in a lot of these commercial areas. So that's the approach I'm taking. So April 17th, you'd get the draft language. April 22nd, then we'd be working on, bringing it here, having a discussion, and then seeing if you feel that's okay to set the public hearing for the May 27th. So we have a 30-day referral period to get it to CROG ahead of time. So this would be to refer what we have. It doesn't mean that's locked in stone. It doesn't mean we can't work on it between now and then. I would expect a lot of changes, but this gets out, okay, here's the fundamentals, here's the framework of what we're looking to do. Then May 13th, if that was approved for the 27th, May 13th, we'd have a work session here. Work together, go through that. If you would like to, again, take a look at this, we can think about if you would like to do it here, if you want to make a special session as well, special meeting. Kind of think about that. It depends on what will be on the agenda. If we have a light agenda, we can use this time productively. If we need to set a different time as well, let me know. And then May 27th, the public hearing, proposed modification, public hearing would stay open. June 10th, public hearing, maybe presenting the final text and an option for approval. So this would get us into the rare reminder by the normal date. That's a normal publication to be effective for the 1st. And if we need to, an additional meeting for June 24th, which is approval option number 2, which we would be publishing in the Hartford Current. Again, still a newspaper of circulation in the area, meets the statute. I just make it clear for people that it's outside. We typically go in the rare reminder. That's where our residents are used to looking for this advertisement. It would be in the Current. We sometimes do that as well. Just the rare reminder, there's such a lag time because it is a Thursday only, that you have to get it to them by pretty much that Monday of that week. And if you don't have time, it lags into the next. So this is the proposed schedule. The legislators are working on other bills right now that may or may not impact the time frame of this. If we're given more time, wonderful, we can work on this. But a lot of that time would be, my concern is if we're given more time, what other parts are in that bill as well too. So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye out for. Again, talk to our representatives of what's happening, what these bills are going forward, and paying attention because there are more housing bills that are being proposed in this session. In this session, I believe it was a February session opened, it closes in May. So the session should be closed by the time this is, effective. So we'll figure out if there's more time given to us. And if there is, good, we'll be on the right path moving forward. But if you have any comments on the schedule, if you have any concerns that you would really, something you've been thinking about since the last meeting that you would like to see in that first draft, I would be very happy to hear whatever you got to say.
I have a question, Paul. Is there any way we could get what CROG is going to be issuing to you? Is there any way that this commission can look at that? The CROG comments?
Yes, yep, we can do that.
And is CROG going to have any public meetings? Do you know for sure?
So they do have the public meeting tomorrow that Jacob noted as well too. And I'm sure during the last part of public participation, he can speak right back up and plug that again for everyone as another point of view. I believe that, trying to remember the exact name of it, it'll come to me.
Yeah.
But there is a meeting tomorrow that he noted. I do have that on my calendar. And again, we will be meeting with them. But yes, no, we can get that information. I'll email that information first thing in the morning or when I go back upstairs tonight to the commission as well.
All right, any other questions? Yes, Commissioner Harpy.
Joe Harpy, did we agree to go with CROG in some formal way or?
So CROG was willing, again, they're not writing it for us. They said they were willing to assist communities out there. And we, yes, I raised my hand and I said, sure, take a look at it. Tell us what you think. But they know at the end of the day that this is just, it's a peer review. It's not, they're not writing for us. We're writing our own.
Okay.
But again, the initial comments were kind of just identifying the sections that it would be pertinent the certain zones, kind of stuff that we would do anyway. But it's just a force multiplier. Again, and ideally, if the commission would like as well too, that at the, if they can come here as well, at the April 22nd meeting, that Jacob and SN be here as well, to kind of give you the thoughts, their thoughts as we're moving through with this.
And are you tying this all into the town's master plan in some fashion, or
So
how do we
this,
make that connection?
this kind of stands alone other than it is allowed in the zone, just because the zone allows commercial. So yes, this is, the town master plan did not consider a, single two family or 9-unit townhouse on one little small lot, because that's what this is. This is not the large development. Now, does this make something along the lines of, there are things in the master plan, again, it might be more units they would be looking for, but it's a mixed use one that would be existing. Again, in the master plan, there was one right at the entrance right next to Roma Taylor's, the existing house that's there, the two houses. That is a redevelopment idea, a concept of an infill. Now, if that was 9 units with commercial, maybe that would be a summary review now. And again, parking not required. But again, with our town center, if you abut that town lot, you're kind of grandfathered in with the parking to begin with. You don't have to do it because it exists. You gave up some land to make it happen. So I don't see a large impact in the town center because of it. It actually could make that process easier to build that building if it was only 9 units, because it would move to the summary review and it would be a simple site plan, no special permit. They wouldn't have to go through the hearings and everything to build it, but at least we have that as a concept. Now, is there some off property that could be out there that I don't see? Maybe, but there aren't really there's not that much available in the center. And the good thing is most of our commercial is all occupied down there, which I'm very happy about.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Davis?
Commissioner Davis, I know there was a lot of passionate discussion last week on whether we're allowed to have public hearings or not, and the whole shall not be required language. So I was wondering if we could make that very specific in our regulations, like this is our discretion. But that's why I also want like the town attorney, wanted the town attorney to give their interpretation of it. Just make it very clear that like the way I'm interpreting it is that we're not required, but it's up to us to have a hearing if we want. And so I would like that to be made clear. I'm not sure what the other commissioners think on that, just so that's like right there and like we can if we want, but we don't have to type of thing. And that's just my only request.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would like just to add, from staff's interpretation, it is you cannot, period, have one. So yes, we will get that reviewed. And again, this has been the discussion in the planning forums. This is my discussion with other planners around the state as well too, that you cannot have one is what it says. So it's very specifically kind of says no. That's because that's kind of the discretionary part of it. If it meets the 4 corners of it, it meets the 4 corners of the regulation. So the most important thing is your regulation, because if it's not spelled out in there, it doesn't exist as a criteria. So that's going to be very important. It has to be spelled out specifically. It can't say, things along like compatible. Nope. Like compatible is a discretionary word. Suitable, discretionary word. It must be 5 feet away, 10 feet away, 10 feet, that it must be X height, 15 feet. It has to be specific.
Yep.
So that's what we're going to have to look at for regulations. We can't use that discretionary language that gives it, okay, does it make sense or not? No, we have to have it prescriptive.
You're saying basically it's got to be buttoned up tight.
Yes.
I have a question, Gia Pasquarelli. So I'll just take that one step further with a idea, a question. We have a 3-story height, right, restriction. So that sits outside of that specific, what this might be, what we're going to be prescribing. So is that valid or invalid, or is it like, does that count or does it not count? Or do you have to say it cannot be more than 3 stories?
So from my understanding, and I will get it reviewed by the attorney, from my understanding of it is you can still have your height requirements. You can
Right.
still have setbacks. You can still have coverage. You can still have those items. Actually, we don't have coverage.
Right.
We're an interesting community on that. We don't have coverage. However, we have a 10% requirement for things to be left undeveloped. Doesn't count certain things. So really, when you look at the end of the day, depending on how a site's developed, we have somewhere between like an 80 to 90% coverage, depending how the site is developed, maximum, just because of our regs. But yes, I think that 3-story would hold. I think we can still have that, but again, we'll get that reviewed by the town attorney.
So just to be clear, we could have it in our general regs and it would apply to these developments, or do we have to make sure that we put everything, attach all of these general regs to this new zone
Yep, I think
concept?
this will exist within those certain zones, and this is the item where we're working on the clunkiness of summary review. Concept of summary review versus site plan. Really, they're kind of the same thing. They should be the same thing. Site plan shouldn't really have discretionary items in it, but I think most have evolved. Because again, you have site plan, you have special permit. If it's discretionary, it should be a special permit. If there are things that require a lot of judgment, that's when you have the hearing. That's when you have all the input. If it's something that just makes sense by the 4 corners, that should just be a site plan. But a lot of site plans, this might have been, again, the legislature's way of differentiating the two, not getting into site plan and giving you another avenue to not deep dive into every single person's site plan regulations in the state of Connecticut, every town's. Ours are pretty good. I'm going to be reviewing those because if we can make them ubiquitous here, site plan and summary review, it's just summary review, site plan. If we have to create that whole other section because we have certain items, but that will be, again, a good discussion for the commission. So I'll make sure to kind of highlight that with any regs proposed.
And again, I would just point out that, you know, we're still talking about 2 to 9 units, so I don't know if you get a 3 or 4 story type of situation anyway.
Sure.
In a perfect 6, like you
Yeah.
would. So example, like on one of the ones we looked at where we have only 2 stories, technically you would need to update it to 3 because it specifically says you have to allow a perfect 6. Perfect 6 is 2, 2, 2.
Right.
It's just by design. The interesting thing is the zone I think we brought this up last time. The zone where we have it 2, it's the same height as the 3 for 35. So maybe
35 is most of our typical.
zones anyway. And we have to look and make sure you can still do that within 35, which you should be able to. But these are those fine tuning that we have to make sure we still accomplish what they say, but keep our regulations intact as much as they can.
Thank you, Paul.
Any other
Moving on,
questions?
Petitions for scheduling.
We have the upcoming special permit for the liquor sales at the Kingdom Buffet.
Yep, so that'll be in the paper tomorrow and next Thursday as well. Letters will go out this week, signs will go up, and it's pretty straightforward. And they just didn't come in for it when they did the restaurant. We haven't heard any complaints, so they'll come and give their presentation.
I guess you've already given us your planners report.
Yep, there's other ones. Unfortunately, my phone was not cooperating with the pictures I went out and took today. I can say that Culver Street building, it's kind of weird. They built building 2 first. That is, the shell is pretty complete, and I'll get some pictures to you guys. They're starting framing on building 1 and another building. The foundation is in. The foundation is in for the clubhouse. So they pretty much, and I did talk to the site super today on site. I walked the site, checked all of the erosion controls, make sure everything was kept up. They pretty much kind of took the winter off on the site. It was a very rough winter, as we all know, and working on that site would have been, it's probably pretty smart not to try to work during all of that, because that way there weren't large blowouts and anything. The site kind of kept intact. So I think that was a good decision of theirs. So they're kind of moving forward on that. We can all see 690. It's taking shape in the front as well too. If you drive around that circle at the bottom, again, it's public access, so you can really see what it looks like and how it relates to that little traffic circle. We all see it when we drive by on Cedar Street. Of course, it's right there. And other than that, yeah, we're working with potential other applicants. There might be some more stuff coming in front of you. But right now we're in that, you know, a lot of people are asking good questions out there. So we're trying to give it to you.
We didn't have any communications. I didn't see any letters.
None.
Okay. All right, next thing is public participation. This is round 2 for anything that was not on the agenda.
I'm not sure if Jacob would like to speak.
There we
we go.
Jacob?
Jacob Knowlton, 10 Hillside Street. Sorry, it takes me a second to unmute. But just as a heads up for that meeting, that's tomorrow. That one is more for town staff. So we're gonna have more kind of discussions on how this process is going, almost like a support group for staff a little bit. Not to that extent, but so that one is going to be mostly for staff. We have another one scheduled for May, which will go out. That's more of like the public meeting, and that'll I think we're hoping to present the kind of calculation methods then. I'm fixing up that presentation now. And then obviously when that's ready, we'll be more than happy to share with staff so that you guys can have that at the ready whenever you need. And then the last thing too is we're planning on the June meeting for RPC to kind of go over this as well. So we invite all commissioners, not just your RPC rep. And I'll make sure you guys all have that invite in the materials when we start correspondence for that meeting. As for other public meetings, we're kind of playing it by ear at the moment. SN is careful when it comes to participation. She doesn't really want to come out and give empty promises or anything like that. So and she doesn't want to waste anyone's time. So right now the ball's in OPM's court. We're kind of waiting for them to give us the information we need to move forward with the housing growth plan. Once we receive that information from OPM, we'll be out and about way more often. But right now we don't really have any information to give 100% answers. So right now we're kind of just doing introductions. Like Paul said, we're meeting with your staff next week, and then hopefully SN can join me for the second meeting this month for the TPZ. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll make sure you guys get correspondence for any public meetings that start to develop out of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. Any other question?
Thank you,
Okay.
Jacob.
Paul?
Nope, that's it. I
Okay.
want to thank Jacob, and yes, thank you for the correction. So I'll report back. Again, hopefully they will be able to come into the next meeting we have as well after I get all this information to you. It will be a fire hose for the commission. So we will attack it as we will, but it will be a lot of information once we really dive in.
Will there be coffee?
Sure, yes.
Several pots?
I think we'll need it.
Okay. Anybody else online there?
No one else has their hand
Okay.
raised, Mr. Chairman.
Moving on, remarks by commissioners. Any remarks by commissioners?
Nobody has their hand raised online.
Okay. My closing remarks is thank you everybody for showing up. It's really important that we get actual factual information out. And again, any commissioners have a question, please contact Paul directly or myself. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Fox.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody. Okay, Professor.